Hi, and welcome to another Retro Gaming Dads podcast. Today we'll be talking about a potential Pokemon remake, features from software, and a new Mega Drive game which is finally being released this year in 2021. We're going to go around who's it. I'm Anthony.
I'm Barry.
I'm Phil.
So I thought we'll start off with potential Pokemon remake, which is one that I've kind of been following myself. And as you two know, Pokemon's something that I really enjoy. And they're looking at re-releasing Pokemon Diamond and Pearl. If you two have played that, which I'm not sure if you have.
I must admit, personally, Gold Silver was where I kind of dropped. I've played them since, but that was the last one I played.
Yeah, Gold and Silver for me as well. I didn't really play after that. I never really got into them.
I've enjoyed them all. And there's a lot of people say different things of which one's the best series. For me, I do really love the Diamond and Pearl series, which is the one that obviously they're looking to remake. And I'm actually quite excited for it.
No, Gen 1 are all the way here.
I was going to say absolutely. Red Blue is the pinnacle. Don't get better than that.
Oh no, 100%. I do agree. But I think the reason that people say, oh yeah, this was a good series, this was a good series, was because of the changes. It mainly was because everything's evolved and it's a different game, which obviously had a different look, a different impact on different generations. You can't beat the original. For me, Squirtle, the Squirtle evolution will always be my favourite Pokemon evolution chain.
Nah, Charizard. Gotta be Charizard.
Gyarados.
Blastoise.
Yeah, he's not a starter.
May not be a starter, but best Pokemon.
Nah, Blastoise is my favourite Pokemon. You can't be a turtle with cannons in the backs.
Yeah, you can. Thunderbolt.
you can't talk about Gyarados and say you can beat it with Thunderbolt.
I mean, that's a fair point. Being flying water type, it is quite weak to the Thunder.
I think a lot of what people see as their favourite Pokemon generation, though, it does tend to be when they came into the series. So for us, me and Phil, there wasn't anything like Pokemon when it first came out.
No, it was really unique, especially the fact that there was two versions of the same game, but you could only get certain Pokemon from certain editions. So you had to trade if you wanted them all. I mean,
I know before Pokemon, like neither of us talked to anyone, not even to each other most of the time, to be honest.
You're saying when you're playing a game, we don't know chat though.
I know.
See, I like how they did that, and I like how they've stuck to it as well. It means that you can't just literally go out and play the whole game yourself and do everything yourself if you want to get a complete Pokédex. You have to trade, you have to get it from other ways.
I don't know. I think the internet, to a degree, has taken away from that because you can just use the internet trading to trade away all the Caterpies into nothingness to get your full Pokédex. I don't think it's the same.
Well, no.
That's a really valid point. So last Pokemon I played would have been Omega Ruby, was it? Omega Ruby
and Alpha Sapphire.
Alpha Sapphire, that was it. And trading over the internet, it's just not the same thing. I remember 1999, I went to Australia, and I remember being in the airport, a couple of different plane trips that we had to take, and all but one airport, which was Manchester Airport, there was kids coming over to me because it was playing Game Boy, asking what Pokemon have I got and what Pokemon do I need.
What?
That it was insane. So I'm sat there, in departures, waiting for me flight, and there was other kids, anything from like younger kids. So at the time I was 15.
Yeah, we were in high school.
Yeah.
Last year of high school,
There
weren't
was
we?
just kids coming up, as young as I can't remember, but say about 10 up until about my sort of age, maybe a year or so older. Obviously, you can spot if someone's playing Pokemon bright red or bright blue cartridge in the back of it.
Yeah, sticking out top.
Yeah, just coming up, going, what Pokemon have you got? What Pokemon do you need? Do you want to swap? Do you want to just swap them back and forth really quick to fill out the Pokedex? And it's, as a social thing, it seems absolutely foreign, especially after the year we've had.
Oh god, yeah.
But
100%.
people just coming up to you, just people you don't know. I was not an outgoing child. I was really.
I wouldn't say you are still anyway.
Let's say introverted. I'd say that's the nice way.
Those cool kids that basically just sat on the wall playing Pokemon all day.
Yeah, that was the one. But to have people come up, strike up conversations, some of them not even English. I remember a lot of people in, I think it was Bahrain, They were literally coming over, gesturing Pokemon, sitting down next to you, and then just scrolling through the PC boxes, showing you what they've got, and then going through the Pokedex, asking you, "Have you got that? Have you got that? Have you got that?"
All right.
So, as a social thing, that is literally the most social game that I'd ever played.
That's such a bizarre concept to me. Like I played when I played Pokemon, obviously I played it quite a bit, and with friends growing up when Red and Blue came out, they came out 98. It was
Um,
different because you got the early
I
version.
can't. Was it? I think it was 19. I think it was 99 in
Yeah,
Europe. I think I could definitely be wrong
it
on
was
that.
definitely late 90s.
Because the version me and Phil had, I know we got it about 98, but we had the American versions.
Yes, I know you
I
did.
actually couldn't even tell you where we got them from. Probably chip shop, weren't it?
No, we didn't get them from Chip Shop. It wasn't Chip Shop. Can't remember the name of it though.
One thing that they have done is that they've made it so you can't just get a Pokemon you haven't got in your Pokedex. If you've seen the Pokemon, you can trade for it. Whereas now it's you have to have had that Pokemon in your Pokedex. You can't just trade for something you've seen. So if it's a really rare Pokemon you haven't got, you've just seen it and it's registered as a scene.
So this is the online trading portal,
Yes.
yeah.
So they've made it so you can't just go, I need that one, I'm going to trade for it, even though I don't have.
That's better.
I still think though it's very faceless,
Oh
isn't
yeah,
it? Just
Oh yeah,
trading with someone across the internet, especially when Nintendo doesn't really have the best record for like having communication functions in games. Very few of the games have voice chat in them, and even just often trying to connect to another player, it's either faceless transaction or it's someone that you need to know to have a friend code for.
yeah. No, it
So
is.
I think it does take that community away.
No, I agree because I remember running down with all the like seeing the different kids down my street and in the area I was in, and I remember sort of being like 10 of us sat on this little mound playing Pokemon and training together, and as you mid trade, yanking the link cable out so it duplicates your Pokemon and that sort of stuff. And I agree with you, it does kind of take that away with the online side of it, which is sad. All the remakes so far have been good, bar from Let's Go. Let's Go kind of a remake because obviously we had, Fire and Leaf Green, which was the proper remakes of the original ones.
It was definitely a remake, but
yeah. It's an odd one. That.
I completed Let's Go, and I must admit, I enjoyed it for what it was.
Yeah, I mean my son enjoys it. He plays it a fair bit. It's certainly a unique take on Pokemon, mixing in
Yeah,
the mobile game. I'm not so sure on it.
I wasn't a fan of it and I didn't have it for long. And I love playing Pokemon. I still have and still play Pokemon Go on my phone daily. Um, but Let's Go just wasn't something for me. I've got Pokemon Sword. I kind of feel like it's taken out some of the old. I like the dungeons. I like the puzzles. I like the having to do certain things to get past and getting blocked by like a Sleeping Snorlax, that sort of stuff. It's not the newer game.
I played a little bit of Sword, and I didn't get very far. I just lost interest pretty quick. I found that I didn't have the same sense of wonder that I did with the original Pokemon games. Again, I think a lot of that is with the introduction of the internet becoming a lot more widespread.
Mm.
Like Phil, how many times did you hear about these mystical Pokemons like Pikablu, for example?
Oh god, yeah.
And you just didn't know, did they exist?
The rumors in magazines as well.
Yeah, how to get Mew, wait till the SSN's gone, get Surf and
Onto the
Strength,
van.
Surf over, push the truck out the way, and he's hiding underneath. So, especially with, I remember the anime starting, and in the first episode, there's a Pokemon that wasn't actually in Red and Blue.
Yeah. Hello.
But this was before Ho Ho. So everyone was saying it's a fourth mythical bird type Pokemon hidden in the game. No one knew what Gold and Silver was then. The internet wasn't as widespread as it is
No.
now. So again, that sense of wonder now is gone. I think most people now they go, oh yeah, let's have a look at the new 100 Pokemon or so, whatever they've added, or in Sword and Shield's case, what they've deducted.
Or just made it look different.
Yeah, and it's the sense of wonder is gone. I think that was a massive part of it.
I kind of feel as well like they're losing. You can see where they're losing their creative edge when it comes to Pokemon. I mean, there is a Pokemon that is literally a set of keys.
Yes.
I was going to say the keychain one and an ice
Yeah.
Well,
cream.
you've also got a Chandelier as well.
Yeah,
and a
but
canvas.
this is my point. This is my point.
Yeah. It's like how many can you do sort of thing until it's like, well,
Yeah,
what can we make now? So it's something that I'm quite looking forward to and I would pick up.
I think a conversation that we had is they should add the previous Pokemon games onto the Nintendo Online service.
Yeah.
We were saying like bring back Red, Blue, Gold, Silver, and so on, and actually have them available to play if you're a Nintendo Online subscription holder, and just keep them as they were, but add Pokemon Bank.
No, and
yeah.
I think it would definitely boost them quite a bit. But
Yeah, it'd be a great way for people to get back into Pokemon or get into it for the first time, as you were saying. Be a great way for Nintendo to sell a lot more subscriptions.
100%. I'll be, if that goes on and they're like, oh, we're going to release the entire Pokemon collection. Here you go. I'm like flipping them in there. But yeah, so that's that kind of what I want to talk about Diamond and Pearl, and that's due November this year, 2021. But as another sort of little tidbit that I came across the other day, is that in Japan they were doing a bit of an event, bit of a competition with release with a new movie, where if you bought a certain pack of popsicles which were Pokemon themed, on the popsicle stick itself it said you have won, and then this whatever Pokemon card. There was a man who forged 25 popsicle sticks for this Pokemon card, and then they found out and he got arrested for it.
I'm not sure what I'm more impressed by: the fact that they've actually gone out of the way to arrest this guy, or the dedication behind wanting to get this card by forging popsicle sticks.
Well, I believe he was given a fairly hefty fine.
I can't remember the exact figure. I really can't, but I know it was up towards sort of like $10,000.
So just he was fined 1 million yen. It says here,
Flipping out.
which is a little over £7,000.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's a pretty cool card. Don't get me wrong. It's a very rare limited edition card, but is it worth getting arrested and getting fined that much for?
Oh god, no! But people do pay a lot of money for trading cards.
Well, I was
If
looking.
you've got to catch them all, you've really got to catch
Oh,
them all.
flipping it. Well, again when I was quickly looking, they said that a like a mint condition Charizard went for $20,000 not long ago.
Well, keeping on the just briefly keeping on the Pokemon card theme, did any of you hear about Yuri Geller saying that Nintendo can now start printing?
Yeah,
Is it Abra
I think
or
it's one of those.
which evolution is
It's
it?
one of the evolutions of
Is it
Diablo.
Alakazam? Is that the final
Yeah.
evolution? And does he hold a spoon?
Yeah, it has two spoons.
Yeah.
One of the things that if you ask people who Yuri Geller is, they're going to say the psychic that bends the spoons.
Yep.
So he won a case against Nintendo for the Pokemon using his likeness without his consent.
What?
So that particular Pokemon card was pulled. But at the end of last year, he came out. He said, he realizes really it's a stupid thing. He should be flattered, and has given Nintendo his blessing to reissue this
Didn't
card.
he also say it was something about his kids or his grandkids were missing out because they also played the Pokemon card game and they really wanted?
Yeah, I believe they were asking him why they can't use this particular Pokemon card, but some of them did get out into the wild, and apparently they're quite valuable. And oddly enough, Yuri Geller has quite a substantial amount of them, because he collected them for evidence for his court case.
So, segueing from one remaster, From Software, pretty well known in the gaming community nowadays. They've obviously had the remaster of Demon Souls come out for the PlayStation 5, a game that I have wanted to play for quite some time, having never owned a PlayStation 3 or 4 or 5, and not quite having a PC powerful enough to emulate it. However, I am now actually able to play and I'm enjoying it. But that got me thinking about From Software. From Software haven't always been a gaming company. They actually started off making office software, can you believe? Or productivity software, as it's actually technically called. And it kind of shows in their early games. So their first game, King's Field in Japan, or King's Field 2 in the West, it's a very technical game. You've got very square environments. It's a good game, but it's a game I went back to try and play, and it's difficult to play nowadays given the control scheme.
So are you saying this is a technical game, as in like the mechanics behind
No,
it are quite technical to learn, or do you mean a very
it's a very
functional game?
functional game. It's designed. When you look at a lot of video game sort of design and build and how they go about it, you've got the big concept art, you've got a list that goes into it, these big environments. Kingsfield is you have to really play it to understand truly what I mean here, but the environments are very technically made. They are very square. Everything's very blocked off. It's
That sounds like pretty much every PlayStation 1 game to me, to be
yeah,
honest.
you see it a bit in Armored Core as well. I mean, if you remember what the environments were like in Armored Core, you had big functional warehouses with very blocky, square texture environments,
They can
shipping
destroy their own way.
containers. Armored Core was an early game of From Softwares and did have that level of technical design behind it, and it also had a very similar control scheme, but it didn't quite. Perhaps I'm remembering it badly, but I don't remember it being quite as bad in Armored Core, using the triggers to look up and down and the way that all controlled in a first-person think Skyrim type game, if you'd call it nowadays. Try playing that where to look up and down, you've got to press triggers.
Yeah, but you've also got to remember the PlayStation at that point didn't have dual analog
God, yeah, it
sticks.
didn't. So it's a game of its time, very much so. It's a well-made game. It's got a massive cult following. It's a game that's not aged well, I'd say. But
So is this a game that you can see like eventually progressed into what we do have as Demon
yes,
Souls, Bloodborne, and
absolutely, it is.
Dark
It is
Souls?
considered the ancestor of those games. It's got the very same exploration in mind aspect, which is all very
I'm guessing that was meant to be exploration, or was it exploration because you will die?
both. So it is. It is a hard game. There's no ifs or buts about it. You will die in it. But it's very much exploration based, almost like you'd say towards games like Castlevania and Metroid, where exploration's a big part of the game. You go to this area, you get this power up, you go to this area that you've now unlocked because you've got this power up or this key. Much in the same way that Demon Souls and Dark Souls is like that.
Well, like talk about, like you said, playing a game you will die. That's kind of, if I'm honest, I do get a bit bored where you can go into a game and you're like, oh, it's easy, it's not a bit of a challenge, or you get to a point where you can easily go through a game. Yeah, it gets a bit boring.
You, the beauty with Dark Souls as well, I find, and all the Souls-like games that from Software, it doesn't matter how good you are, and it doesn't matter where you are in the game. If you
Or what
try
equipment you
and,
have.
well, yeah, exactly. If you go back to the starting area and just think, oh yeah, I can just blitz through this now, I don't even need to worry about it. I'll just run through enemies. Something will catch you unaware, and it will kill you.
I do remember in Dark Souls going through different areas, and even though you've been through them sometimes, like the some of the AIs in different places, and you run them, and it scares the crap out of you because you know you're going to die.
Yup. But going back and playing Demon Souls, which is a game I have wanted to play for quite some time, um, it's interesting to see where the modern version of Dark Souls, if you will, started.
Mm.
And I'm enjoying it. It's good. It's a bit more limited than Dark Souls. Dark Souls, you can definitely see where they've built on the mechanics and they've improved on it and they've expanded things. But the basic philosophy is still there, and I am enjoying it. And I have died quite a few times already.
I like how you can see how many times you've died. That's one of the favorite
Yeah.
things. So how well have I done? I'm not doing well at all.
The other thing as well I like with, and this goes for the same for a lot of From Software's games. If you lose or you die, it's generally because you've done something wrong.
Yes.
It's not. It's fair.
It never feels unfair.
Yeah, exactly. Because I remember there were some missions in Armored Core where you'd be frustrated, particularly like in the arena matches and everything, where you'd be getting
Oh
absolutely
god,
trounced,
yeah.
but you weren't getting trounced because of the game. You were getting trounced because your mech was built badly, or you were just doing atrociously.
I don't know. Sometimes I felt that you'd go into some of the arenas you'd absolutely blitz through someone, and then the next person, they just wipe the floor with you in seconds.
Yeah.
I do feel like there was definitely a bit of a difficulty spike in the early Armored Core games.
Oh yeah, that is definitely true. Though the cinematics, such good cinematics in the Armored Core games.
One of my gripes with Armored Core now is that it's gotten too complex. There is too you when you build your mech and say you want to put just like little things on different parts to make it look a bit different. It offsets different balances, different things, and literally put in one. You could put like one tiny little. I can't describe what it is, but you can put something on your legs, and it will offset your legs to your weight to one side, and you're like, I just want to put it for looks, but yeah, it messes the whole sort of like weight balance scaling up, and it
See,
can
that's
screw you over.
One game I felt that got a good balance, and is, I suppose, a spiritual successor to the Armored Core series, was Daemon X Machina.
Oh, fantastic!
That seemed to get a good balance. But yeah, I know what you mean. Sometimes you'd make one small change, and it'd have such a dramatic change on the overall running of the mech that sometimes you get a bit paralyzed to actually change anything.
yeah. I mean, but that's always been there. That's been always been a big thing of Armored Core. Admittedly, like the original one and the first few, it was more your overall weight, your overall power drain, your arm
Mm.
weights, leg weights, etc. Whereas having the individual balance bits. But I like that idea that you kind of had to balance it all. You couldn't just go in with the best legs, the best torso, the best weapons. You had to have that balance.
Yeah, but there's a difference when you're tweaking, say, a single part, and it dramatically changes how your mech
Yeah,
performs.
Well, it's all. I'm not complaining at all about that. By all means, you can't just chuck the best stuff on and go for it. But it's like you just want to just add some bits for the aesthetics, and that does completely mess up the way the bouncing is. It's just, I don't know. I think it's just got a bit too fiddly with the last one I played. I think it was Armored Core 4 Answers. I can't quite remember. No, Armored Core 5 Verdict.
yeah. Verdict
Verdict Day.
Day
Yeah.
didn't do particularly well. I would love for there to be another new Armored Core,
Oh,
though.
I would too.
Do you know what? Another Chrome Hounds.
Oh, another
That's
Chrome
what I
Hound, yeah.
want.
Oh, yes, please. Chrome Hounds any day.
The problem with From Software is at the moment they've got into this little rut, if you will, where they keep making very similar games. So Dark Souls, the Demon Souls remakes, Elden Ring when that comes out, and even the Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. Although that's perhaps got more of a Tenchu spin, it's still got a lot of that Soulsy style to it. They've not gone back to a lot of the stuff like the Armored Core games, even the Ninja Blade game, which was, let's not talk too much about that one, but that was a game.
Do you know what? I had a little bit of fun with Ninja Blade.
A bit too quick,
It,
quick
it
time event.
it's very it felt like a very 80s B movie to me.
Yeah, I can see where you're going with that one. But even Enchanted Arms, probably one of the surprise hits of the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3. That was a great RPG. They've not really done anything more on that. They've just very much gone, right, okay, action, adventure, fantasy games.
It sounds like they've just gone. Dark Souls has done well. Let's just keep going with Dark Souls.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, that's what
But
companies tend to do, isn't it?
I want to see. I don't know about you two, but I feel like mech games are virtually non-existent now.
I think
Yeah.
I think the problem is Met games during particularly the 360 era, I'd say, flopped.
Mm.
Practically everyone that came out did not do that well. Verdict Day, Chrome Hounds, trying to think of some
Chrome
others.
Hounds did well to a particular audience. So,
That's the
like
point, though.
us three have fond memories with Chrome Hounds.
Oh yeah, I think almost everyone
Yeah,
who played Chrome Hounds has got a fond memory of Chrome
but
Hounds.
the problem is
But
it's how many people
was there
played it.
enough people?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
How many people actually played it? That's the problem.
Do you think the explosion of mech games, especially on like the Xbox, PlayStation 2, and then into like the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3, do you think a lot of that was down to technical limitations that it was easier to render a mech or a robot or something artificial than it was to render
A person.
more realistic, like a person, more realistic characters.
You know what?
So perhaps
Probably.
as the technology advanced, they were trying to push towards making games that look better, and one of the ways they could do that was by having human characters rather than robotic.
Yeah, possibly. Possibly. But it would be nice. I mean, you've got Hawken, and that's a game I need to play a bit more of.
Mm.
Hawken's fun, but it's a small arena, mainly PvP mech game. It's not quite got the same build your mech to it and everything because you have these very pre-built mechs. It's not the same. It'd be nice to have a new
No.
Armored Core type game.
It would do, and as as Barry did touch on earlier, and I agree with him. Demon X Machina, because it was a game that I was quite
Yeah.
surprised that I enjoyed because I played the demo, didn't quite enjoy the demo, and then I remember playing it around Barry's at one point, and I was like, flipping it, this game's amazing. They changed lots as a demo, and that's one game that all three of us played for hours
Yeah,
together.
and it's
Yeah, we
another.
just need either more content for that or just a sequel.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but that again is called the spiritual successor to Armored Core. It is very, very influenced by.
I believe a lot of the team were actually from the teams that made some of the early Armored Core
Oh,
games as
right.
well.
See, the other thing as well is From Software. You look at the early games in particular, and they were very ambitious, especially for a company that literally created packages like Word. They took risks. So Demon Souls, nothing was like Demon Souls when that came out. That was a risk. Armored Core, levels of it were a risk. King's Field, this idea of having this difficult RPG with very not linear story progression, but we had to literally go and dig for the story. Risks that you just don't see them taking anymore.
See, Kingsfield wasn't unique in that aspect, though. There were other games that tried to perhaps a little bit too ambitiously push for larger open worlds, backtracking, more difficult game as well, rather than earlier RPGs where you could just grind your way through any
Yeah,
issues or obstacle you had in your way. Um, Unfortunately, most of the other games weren't that great. Like a great example for that is Virtua High Lad on the Saturn.
yeah,
From a very, very high up view, it's very similar to um, Kingsfield.
yeah. I think where Kingsfield probably was better was it wasn't quite as ambitious in the open world. It was a much more contained world, but it was a well-connected world. It'd be nice to see From Software perhaps bring back a bit of that ambitiousness in designing some of the new games, and perhaps go back to some older properties that they've not released, like Armored Core, or even perhaps another Enchanted Arms would be nice.
Or another Tenchu. I'd love to see another Tenchu.
Yeah, I mean, I was probably one of the 3 people that actually enjoyed Tenchu.
I must admit, I wasn't a big fan of Tenchu Z on the 360, wasn't it?
Yeah, 360, but I really enjoyed it. It was probably my favorite Tenchu game. I enjoyed it a lot. Though obviously that's From Software, probably my favorite developer. Though with that said, you mentioned that some games are coming out for the Mega Drive this year.
That's correct, for the Sega Mega Drive, a console that was released before you were born, Anthony.
yes, I believe so.
So, in the year of 2021, we're getting a new brawler for the Sega Mega Drive, or if you're one of those people who live in your own world called North America, the Sega Genesis. So, this game, it's had quite a should we say long development and troubled development. So it's by a company called Watermelon, who released a game, an RPG called Pierce Solar, which has since been released on the Sega Dreamcast, as well as I believe the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3.
Wasn't there also an Xbox One version?
It's definitely on backwards compatibility. I think it was originally on the 360.
Right.
And then it went through backwards compatibility to Xbox One and Series S and X. But this game, it's very impressive. If you saw it now, you'd think it was more of a modern retro style game, not something that was released on 30-year-old hardware. It's also quite a peculiar game. I can't think of another way to put it. So if you really, really want the best experience for this new game, they're selling the game standard version, which is quite a hefty $129
What?
Jeez.
for this game. For that, you get your cartridge, a plastic clamshell, and a color instruction manual.
Jeez.
However, if you really want to support them, if you want the US or Japanese version, they do a limited edition for $170. And for some bizarre reason, if you want the European style version, it's an eye-watering $340.
What? What do you?
Why is it so much?
I do not know why.
Does it come gold plated?
Unfortunately, it doesn't. It comes in let's say, a hot pink cartridge. However, and this will be something that would probably interest you, Anthony, it does come with a very tasteful leather thong.
Wait, what?
Why? Thanks for that.
I believe there's also some stickers in there, so you can give them to your kids.
What is this out if it comes with a
whatever.
leather thong?
It's a very Ash from Streets of Rage free or bare knuckle free aesthetic to them, so it is fitting in with the theme of the game. It seems a rather odd inclusion into a limited edition. Let's just say that. But the game, from a technical point of view, is absolutely outstanding. It was announced about 8 years ago under the name of Project Y. And it looks like it might give some of the Mega Drive's better brawlers a run for the money. It's not going to be up there with Streets of Rage, but it does come with some pretty interesting features. You can actually have an AI second player to help you, which on modern games doesn't sound that amazing. But Mega Drive, it's an old console. I think it's got like a 7 megahertz processor. It's just not capable of it. So what they've done is if you attach a Mega CD, it uses the processor in the Mega CD to control the second character with an AI.
That's pretty clever.
It is. I don't think it's anything that they would have ever imagined of back then.
Oh no, it's a unique way to use the extra processing power that's afforded by the Mega CD. Especially if you're someone, again, like Anthony, who doesn't have any friends. The Mega CD can, substitute for actual physical human interaction for you.
See, I thought the Mega CD was designed just to make everybody evil with those evil games like the Night Trap.
It was also for watching extremely grainy anime intros.
I like how you passed over the burns, so I then couldn't reply back to you as well.
But as well as that, so from a technical point of view, again, something completely unique. This cartridge actually has a slot on it that allows you to connect it up to your computer to upload your high scores online and give it the potential to download DLC onto a Mega Drive game.
What? We have DLC potentially for a Mega Drive game?
Potentially, yes. They've said it can potentially be used, but they haven't actually announced any yet.
That's almost
The
impressive.
fact the option's there is,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So the game itself, it's 2-player, 3 initial characters with, I believe, 2 unlockable characters, multiple routes, multiple endings. I believe there's about 25 levels in the game, if I remember correctly. So there's plenty of content in there. And it has got just a normal arcade mode as well, if you just want to play from start to finish. Give you free save slots. So it is a really, really interesting looking game. If a little bit expensive, $129 for the standard version.
Yeah, I mean, they've got to be targeting a massive niche for that sort of money.
In all fairness, I do think it's quite a niche product being released on the Mega Drive when we're getting Xbox Series consoles and PlayStation 5s.
I mean, the fact that there's a version that's £300.
Yes, that only seems to be for the European limited edition version, which I don't understand why, because both the Japanese and the US limited editions are $170.
Yeah, it's though. Spending £300 that you can you can get a console for £50 less than that, or most editions never even touch that. I've never heard of a game even a collecting, and maybe I've just not seen it, but I don't
Oh,
think I've heard of a
you
game.
definitely didn't hear about the Saints Row limited edition then.
Maybe I did. I can't
Steel
remember.
Battalion. The standard edition was what?
Oh, still,
100 and
yeah, but
something?
that came with a flipping.
I think I paid £130 if I remember right for
That
Steel
came with a
Battalion.
massive control and setup, so that you can understand that one. Yeah, £300 for a European collector's edition for a game that is for a console that was released in 1989. I think is a pretty hefty ask.
I'll say it's still cheaper than the Saints Row 4 limited edition. Can anyone actually remember that one?
No, I can't say I can.
I can't. No.
Well, it came in at a hefty $1 million.
What?
What?
I'm probably going to get some of it wrong and miss some bits out, but if I remember right, it included the game, which isn't a given with some games. It included a Virgin Galactic flight, plastic surgery, and I believe a house.
Okay.
Wait, as in like in game or real life?
No, in real life. Real life.
What? Yeah. What? Okay. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
It's very Saints Row that though, to be fair.
It is indeed.
Yes. As far as I'm aware, no one actually purchased the super limited edition. There was only one of them available as well.
I mean, yeah, but it is the sort of thing that just it fits with Saints Row. Well,
Yeah,
truly.
it does.
If you two were still into using your Sega Mega Drive, would new games like Paprium be something that you'd be interested in seeing more of in the future?
I don't even have a Mega Drive.
I think if the cost wasn't so high, even though like Phil said, I don't have a Mega Drive either. Seeing all the consoles is something that I look at and think it would be pretty cool to have one and to actually utilize one a bit. If the game cost just wasn't so expensive, then it's a possibility that I wouldn't mind doing. I wouldn't mind getting one and picking one up.
Sorry, I'm still just trying to process the fact that you both said you haven't got a Mega Drive.
Oh yeah, and hang on, you've got what, 6?
No, that's Saturn's. That's completely different.
Oh, okay. Sorry, confused two
I think
together.
I've got 4 Mega Drives.
Oh, okay, but still.
I wouldn't have anywhere to actually port these things to have loads of consoles like that.
Neither do I now that I've got a son.
True.
In all
That's very
fairness,
It's all been relegated to the loft.
unfortunately, yes. It does come down quite regularly though.
Yeah, we see this is why having a emulation is a good thing.
With emulation though, I think you just lose that tactile feel of actually playing those old games. I don't know about you guys, but you have that Netflix syndrome where when you've got so many legally acquired ROMs to choose from, that you just get a bit paralyzed with what you want to play, or you just dip in and out. You never really give a single game your attention.
I have that problem with my Xbox. Never mind anything else.
Exactly. When you physically gotta slam in a cartridge and hope to God that it still loads, chances are you're going to sit there and you're going to give that one title a bit of attention
Well,
for
yeah.
quite a while.
When you only had 3 games, yeah, absolutely, that's what you was going to do.
What, you had 3 games? I think I only had 2 for the most of my Mega Drive life.
Oh, crikey! We had all the Sonics.
I never had one.
We had Cyborg Justice. I loved that game. We had Mortal Kombat.
Well, I'll tell you my list because mine was a lot shorter.
Yeah.
I had Sonic the Hedgehog 2 and Rocket Knight Adventures.
Well, do you know when we got Mortal Kombat? I just we were around ours because my parents had bought this game, not knowing the controversy behind the violence.
Yeah, what was it? Was it Dullard, the cheat?
Something like that.
It turned blood on in the game.
Yeah. We also had a Looney Tunes game. I think it was Taz.
What was that Taz game? Isn't there a game coming out on the Xbox One called Taz? Am I thinking of
They're
something
bringing
else?
out a
As
new
in the
Taz game.
Tasmanian Devil, or?
I don't know. It's some sort of thing that runs around with 2 boomerangs.
No, that's not Taz.
Are you thinking Ty?
Ah,
The Tasmanian tiger or something?
maybe
I
that's
think it
it.
is.
There you go.
Wait.
Original type attention.
Can we just go back to how Anthony doesn't know who Taz the Tasmanian Devil is?
Oh no, I know who Taz Tasmanian Devil is, and I got more confused.
So back to would you be interested in seeing more games for all the consoles being re-released? Maybe
Oh
not
yeah,
necessarily the Mega Drive.
You
yes.
know what? I don't know. I don't think so.
See,
Well,
I'd be interested if there were high quality games like this. Like if this game was, I don't know, £60, then I probably would pick it up.
I think it brings a lot of nostalgia back to older um, console owners.
This is the thing, though. Are you thinking of buying it? If it was lower cost, given the cost of it, are you thinking of buying it because it's a new game for the Mega Drive, or because it's a game that looks interesting? That's the question.
Well, this particular game, both. Especially
Yeah.
after playing through Streets of Rage recently. You can't go wrong with a brawler.
Yeah, though.
So obviously, if this was the type of game that I would be interested in, like I don't know, say a visual novel, then it wouldn't even be on my radar then.
It feels like they've put a lot of effort into developing something for an older console, and it's something that's got to be niche. Because I mean, could you imagine them trying to release the next Call of Duty for the Mega
No,
Drive?
I'm not. I'm not saying companies making Call of Duty for
No,
the
I know.
Mega Drive. I'm just on about games designed specifically for the Mega Drive.
As Phil said, and I agree with him, it's a very niche sort of area.
Oh, absolutely, it's absolutely niche. Hence the price.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if companies were to start re-releasing games for the other consoles, I think they would struggle, if I'm honest. Um,
I'm not necessarily on
so
about big publishers.
No, I know.
I'm on about smaller teams. Because the chances are, if this follows the sort of like path that Piers Solar went through, they released it on the Mega Drive, then they re-released an enhanced version for the Sega Dreamcast,
mm.
which then later got enhanced slightly further and re-released on more contemporary consoles, the 360 and the PlayStation 3.
See, there is definitely a place for retro-inspired, retro-style games. There absolutely is. Especially as older hardware is not manufactured anymore. They're difficult to repair.
Well, unless you live in Brazil.
Well, there is that. And I'm guessing these are aimed primarily at the Brazilian market.
No, no, this game isn't.
All right. I don't know. I don't know. I just feel like it's something they've gone for a niche. They're hoping to ultimately shift a few copies and recoup the costs, but I don't know.
It's
Well,
I'm not
don't
sure on
forget
it.
this is the second game that they've released on the Mega Drive.
Yeah,
With Piers Solar, which is a game that I do actually own on the Xbox, being there first.
I think it's a high risk sort of thing to do. I think it's as much as it's an idea, I think they are playing quite a high risk. Um,
it feels more like a
you know,
marketing strategy than it
yeah.
does an actual thing that they wanted to do.
Absolutely, because some of the people who buy the game may not even be fans of that type of game. I say, thankfully, this does look like it's a high quality game, but being released on the Mega Drive is going to get a lot of collectors wanting it as well, not
Yeah,
just people who want to play the game for the game itself.
probably going to appear on more people's radar as well and be more likely to sell if they do release versions on the current consoles and the PC, purely because of the marketing spin off this new Mega Drive releasing for other consoles.
w- I think one of the things I think you guys have touched on it before with the games for like the Sega Mega Drive and those sorts of games is what drew people to getting the games was going to the shops and seeing these the front cover art for the game cases. Because back then, you didn't have you didn't really have online. You weren't able to see what games are upcoming and that sort of stuff. You would just walk into the shop and pick it up. Now, especially with different things that are going on, you're not able to go do that. So if they were to try and release these new games for the niche market, it will all literally be online based to try and draw them in that way. And do they have the marketing to do it? And that's the other part of it as well, which I think they'll struggle with. So as much as it might be nice to see these niche games coming back in, will they get the fan base unless it's the actual fans who are looking for it or who are know it's there? They're not going to get any new people coming in for, are they?
Well, see, I don't agree with that because I think nowadays it's easier for a small company or even an individual to market a game than it would have been in
Oh
early
yeah,
mid 90s.
Kickstarter, Steam Greenlight, all that kind of stuff absolutely
Not
help.
even just to get it published like that, just getting the word out.
Well, yeah,
You could write a couple of posts on things like Facebook, videos on YouTube, just get a few related websites to pick it up,
yeah,
and you're going to get a lot more interest there than you might have
Yeah.
got in the 90s sticking a advert at the back of a magazine,
No, you're
See,
right.
and it's going to be significantly cheaper.
Yes.
interesting random thing as well. Where I work, our cleaner, her son runs a small Polish video game company, and they've just released a brand new game, and it's on Game Pass.
Yeah, I see a lot of like indie style games going straight to Game Pass recently. I think that's a good way for
Oh
if you're
yeah,
making a game and Microsoft say, "Do you want it on Game Pass?" That's a safety net for you.
You've got a revenue there straight away.
Exactly. That's a safety net for you that you know you go get some revenue. It's not going to get lost in the noise as much because Game Pass, if you say it's got a little over 100 games on it, you're competing with only 100 games rather than if you put it on Steam, thousands of games. It's just
yeah.
going to get lost so quickly.
I think that's possibly the pros and cons of Game Pass. It's probably a different podcast discussion, though, to be fair.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I don't think it'd be a game I'd end up buying. Just partly because I don't have a Mega Drive, but partly because I don't think I'd go out and get older hardware. Perhaps if it came out for, which I imagine it will, for modern hardware, maybe.
So you think that the actual restrictions of the hardware is what would stop you?
More than anything else, yeah.
So even if you still had your old Mega Drive, would it interest you then, or would it be no? That's just something that's cluttering up the closet or it's up in the loft.
Or the price is
You
too
know,
high.
it's not something to get down to practically use anymore.
Yeah, yeah. So if I still had theoretically the old hardware and it was just stored somewhere, I don't think I'd go out and buy a game to dust off the old hardware and pull it back out.
See, I think I'm the opposite. If it was a bit cheaper, then it's certainly something I'd enjoy looking on, seeing, you know, what can be done with this aging hardware now with, maybe more modern tools or
Yeah,
um, modern day game design ideas.
from a technical aspect and a design aspect, yeah, it'd be interesting to see. Though I don't know. I don't know if that'd be enough to have me dusting out old hardware and buying particularly expensive games for it.
Oh yeah, I do agree. £129 for the classic and £170 for the limited edition is
Bit much.
quite
Steep.
hefty.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I believe that's all the talking points that we got for this week's podcast, Jim.
Yeah.
I'd like to thank that one person that somehow stumbles upon this thinking it was a much better podcast and decided, do you know what? It's playing. I can't be bothered turning it off for now. I'll see this through to the end. So we'd all like to say a massive thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
I thank you all for listening.